Weiner.flv. The world is thinking.
In the years after Watergate consumed the government and Nixon fell, you'll remember, by the way, that the first count of impeachment against Richard Nixon was trying to use the CIA to obstruct the federal investigation of the Watergate break-in. He had ordered Helms to tell the FBI to call off its dogs. Wiretapping was a federal crime. The Watergate burglars, all 6 of whom were ex-CIA, 2 Americans, 4 Cubans, had violated the federal law against wiretapping, and Helms was ordered by Nixon to call the new director of the FBI, Pat Gray. J. Edgar Hoover had been dead for 6 weeks. Hoover would have known how to handle this. And say, call off your dogs. And that became count 1 in the impeachment hearings that never took place, in the impeachment of Richard Nixon. Here again, how do you run a secret intelligence service in an open democracy? In the aftermath of this, Jerry Ford, President Ford, had a real problem. He wanted to keep the secrets, and in order to do that, he fired the director of Central Intelligence he had inherited, Bill Colby, because Colby wanted to make a clean breast of it. He wanted to try and reconcile the tension between secrecy and openness. And Ford and Kissinger and Ford's very wily chief of staff, Don Rumsfeld, didn't want to do this. So in a very subtle move, and we have Don Rumsfeld to thank for this, they decided at once to appoint a more compliant director of Central Intelligence and to neutralize a potential opponent in the 1976 Republican nomination. And they selected George Herbert Walker Bush to run the CIA. And Bush at first was horrified. And he wrote in his diary, "Bury Bush at CIA, B-U-R-Y, bury Bush at the CIA, question mark. It's a graveyard for politics." And he wrote to Ford, "I see this as the total end of any political future." Then he took the job. He was a patriot. He was a loyal public servant. And within weeks after becoming director, he discovered that he loved the place. The secrecy, the gadgets, the camaraderie. It was like Skull and Bones with $1 billion budget. And he wrote to a friend a couple of weeks after he took the job, "This is the most interesting job I've ever had." And in less than 11 months at the helm in 1976, he did a lot. He improved morale. He sort of righted the ship a little bit. And he used the agency very deftly as a political base for his soaring ambitions. The real problem he had as he tried to reform the CIA post-Vietnam was that he didn't control the budget. The Secretary of Defense did, and the new Secretary of Defense was Donald Rumsfeld. And in an oral history, Bush's right-hand man at CIA, this is a CIA oral history that was very recently declassified, said that the real problem Bush had was Rumsfeld. Because Rumsfeld was completely disinclined to let the director of Central Intelligence have a say in shaping the intelligence budget. To quote from the oral history by Bush's right-hand man, George Carver at CIA, Rumsfeld was, quote, paranoid, unquote, about the CIA, and he was convinced that the agency was, quote, out to spy on him, unquote. There is a pattern in the past, ladies and gentlemen. There is a pattern.